and he's cut down to now being number 4 on the leaderboards as of last time I checked. So it'll be a super tight race between 2 top runners, or 2 top 10 runners. Should be definitely a very interesting watch.
Yeah, Blue's gotten very good very quickly. They've both been around for a pretty long time. Blue used to run on PS4 and had the PS4 record back for a while. Took a break. I think he was having some issues and came back on PC. He's actually Mytherium got the 8th seed in this tournament. Blue's number 9 seed, but yeah, Blue's PB is actually a bit better. So this should be really interesting.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about BlueMetal too. Has just been grinding A-ending very solidly over the last couple of weeks, whereas Mytherium not as much. He's been more so focusing on A through Z and A to E ending. So he's a little bit more practiced in that, but we'll see how his A ending pulls out.
He's also a very hard runner, runs some categories on very hard, which is basically one-hit kills. So he's pretty good at avoiding like damage from bosses and stuff. So I think that's one thing that's in his favor.
Yeah, we definitely saw him pulling in some interesting strats in the pool matches of this tournament, specifically a match against Black Gold Saw in which he went for a taunt 6 chip. Tons of RNG in getting the chip. He had to reset his save, I think, about 11 times. Lost probably about 9 to 10 minutes trying to get this chip, but when you have the chip, your damage just gets spiked through the roof, and you are open to getting one hit. So it kind of fits his very hard playstyle. But don't think we're going to be seeing any of those shenanigans today, as this is a very, very close race.
Yeah, no room for fooling around in this one.
So I guess a little bit about the race now. We're just kind of in the opening section of the game here. It's just a side scroller, shoot 'em up. Takes a couple minutes here as you intro, and if you clear the waves fast, if you clear the last enemy, like clear all the enemies out as fast as possible, the next wave will spawn in quicker. So that's where you get your time save optimization here. Another thing you might have noticed is both players intentionally trying to get hit by the lasers. It's just a minor thing we do, since we're not really doing much else when the lasers are going through, to use up our health pots. So when we menu for buffs, it's a couple less things to menu over.
Yeah, they're not gonna do very much menuing here in Prologue, but it's frames.
Yeah, and another thing somebody brought up in the chat earlier about the timer starting at 2:18. We are playing on a loadless timer, so it will pause during all of the loading screens. So we might see a little bit of timer differential between the two, just based on their PC load times. Shouldn't slip too far though.
Yeah, there's usually not too much of a difference. I'm not sure about these guys specifically, but I think on average it's usually no more than like 30 seconds between any two given people real time. So just another little short mob section here. Again, just trying to kill these flyers as soon as they come on screen.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of time to be made by eliminating them at the far left side of the screen as quick as possible. I could probably save you a second or two. Again, just trying to clear these out as fast as possible. You see BlueMetal killing the, BlueMetal and Mytherium both now killing the spinner. Can be quite the frustrating enemy, as you have to get in, and if you don't kill it fast enough, it flies away and loses 5 seconds. Sometimes it spins up and eats your bullets as well, so quite
very annoying enemy. So now we get into the proper 3D combat of the game. Basically, the bread and butter of the combat is just going to be what we refer to as damage glitch. It's you do a dash and then a heavy attack, and 2B throws out the short sword. It spins. It does about 5 times the amount of damage of your other attacks, and it hits a lot. So.
Oh man, and Mytherium, watching his inputs here, he's already kind of throwing out what looks like a little bit of nervous spaghetti. Instead of skipping the cutscene, accidentally pulling open his menu and losing himself a little bit of time here.
Yeah, probably getting a little bit antsy on the cutscene skips. It is pretty easy to pause just a couple frames too early. This boss here, the objective here is to damage it down to the threshold as fast as possible to where your pod program begins to download, and then from there it's just a time sequence.
Yeah, not a whole bunch of time save to be made here, just based on the attack RNG patterns. We'll see BlueMetal now coming up into some of the movement tech of the game. He's doing a skip, or he just did a skip called Crane Skip. Normally you'd have to kind of run around the floor of the factory here, but we kind of abuse a bit of a back pedal that the developers put in to go pick up an item to just skip most of that area. And again, with these silos, same as the opening shmups, you want to clear out the wave of enemies as quick as possible to get the next wave spawned in faster. You'll see Blue dealing with these flyers now. They can be quite annoying because they try and avoid you. Ideally, you'll want to try and line up a laser to take out as many collaterally as possible, but they can be very frustrating to get a lineup for.
Yeah, their movement's kind of difficult to manipulate. Ideally, you want to take out like 4 with one laser, but easier said than done. BlueMetal coming up here to bridge skip. This is the hardest skip in Prologue. The input timing is very, very tight. He's going to do a lift, a light attack, a heavy attack, a jump, a light attack, a heavy attack, and then a plunge to get on top of that bridge. Looks like second try for him. I think it's first try for Mytherium. So very, very close right now.
Yeah, we've evened up Mytherium's time loss in the first couple silos. Now they are neck and neck again. It'll again just come down to there's not any other movement skips for the rest of Prologues, or there's one, but it's pretty easy to get. So it'll mostly come down to how fast they clear out these silos from this point out.
Oh, Mytherium gets the God laser on those shielded stubbies there, takes out all those enemies just with one laser.
Yeah, those shielded enemies can be very annoying because the shield is meant to block the projectiles that you shoot, so it can sponge the laser and just send the enemies flying back super far. So getting it where it just takes them all out, that is the God laser.
Huge time save. Oh, I love seeing that. It's really satisfying.
It has something to do with the enemies jumping in the air correctly, if I remember right.
Yeah, makes sense to me. There's some weird like aerial state stuff going on there.
Ooh, unfortunately we won't see either of the runners going for Engel's swag skip. It's really just a swag skip. You don't save any time really by doing it, but it's not too hard to pull off. We've seen a couple people pull it off just for the extra points.
Yeah, it looks very, very cool, but yeah, minor time save if you even, do it correctly.
Even they get bad intel from time to time, huh?
So we'll be coming up on Marks 2 now, the second boss. He's very, very similar to Marks 1, except it's just 2. It's 2 of them. Very creative naming we got. So the optimization here for the runners will be to throw out 2 damage glitch as Marks is coming towards them without having perfect evade. Ideally that saves you having to menu for a buff, and then you can just damage glitch Marks down to his threshold right here. It'll go back up.
Looks like both of them got in some of those early damage glitches as it was sort of moving across the ground there, so looks like neither of them have to buff up, neither of them have to use the laser either. Nicely done.
And now we will see... Oh, well, not quite yet. This is the first section. We come up on Engels now. He's the first major boss of the game. Not a whole bunch you can really do to time save here. Most of the time save, time loss from Engels comes from his attack animation. These first ones that he's throwing out now don't really matter, just because you're just trying to get damage on him until the timed cutscene pops, but the first attack that he throws out after that time cutscene does matter, and depending on the attack animation, you can either get an optimal timing or you can lose up to 20 seconds. Definitely very frustrating in Prologue to just lose 20 seconds off your run straight off the bat.
Very, very frustrating. Luckily, it is early in the game. It's only 10 minutes in, so it's usually not too bad to have to reset here, but he has 6 different attacks, so the chances aren't that high of getting punches.
It's a 1 in 3 chance, because 2 of the attacks are punches and 4 are projectile.
Well, the one just like clap attack, that one's
oh, true.
That one's pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, it's only a 3-second time loss in comparison to the projectile moves. So Mytherium looks like he does get missiles, so that is a good attack RNG pattern for him to get before Engels dives out here.
Yeah, it looks like both of them got missiles. So
yeah,
that's actually pretty cool. Makes it fair.
And again, the meme here is, you know, what decision, what side, what pipe do they go to? It looks like BlueMetal going to the right pipe, Mytherium going to the classic left pipe.
Oh, BlueMetal going with no pipe.
Oh no, he's going no pipe. Actually, wow, I thought he was going for the right pipe. He faked us out. He ran to left, ran to right, and then just stood in the middle.
Yeah, based on this, I'm definitely rooting for Mytherium at this point.
Yeah, I am a avid left pipe supporter. It's just definitely biased commentary.
Nah, it's just factual.
No, you're right. But again, we go for the pipe just to get away from Engels. Right here, you really don't have to do anything. It's a timed sequence. He's going to throw out the same attacks and then bury back under and rip up the bridge. So we just get up on the pipe, and it allows us to bypass the wall that they put behind us to stop us from moving back there. And we can just give our hands a quick rest. We'll see Mytherium coming up here on another piece of movement tech. It's called a double lift. If you go into a slanted surface and do a lift, the act of doing that will touch your feet back to the ground, resetting your jump and allowing you to perform another lift on top of it, giving you just massive amounts of height if you're trying to skip over anything.
Coming up here to the spawn that we call ninjas, these subbies kind of jump out of the sky. You'll see Mytherium just throwing out some damage glitches and a laser as the sort of second bit of that wave drops in. Looks like pretty close time-wise. Moving on to sort of the final Engels battle here. This is just completely time-based. We're waiting for a certain point in the dialogue when 2B says, "I told you to shut up," and then Engels will do a scripted punch to sort of change to the next phase. So there is a bit of luck here. You want Engels to be ending his attack animation, whichever attack that he chooses to do, right as 2B says that. So it is possible to lose a bit of time just due to luck.
Yeah, although not like the same scale as getting a punches or anything. You're probably only going to lose like 4 seconds, 5 seconds at most. But yeah, it's still very frustrating when you get all the perfect attacks, all the short animation attacks, and then the one right before the scripted punch, he throws out his laser, and he just sits there for like 10 seconds. And you're like, oh, damn it.
So there's a bit of dialogue. And then we'll see the punch here.
Yeah, both these runners not giving up any time on this prologue. About a second between the two of them.
This is very, very close.
Thankfully, Engels not ruining the hype, giving them the same attack.
Control system. Affirmative. Infiltrating enemy subunit.
Now, funny little story about this here. Normally, you take Engels' arm from him and you punch him to death. And it's kind of got a long backswing behind it, but if you just evade here, immediately after swinging, you can just reset it. So you just 3-swing Engels very, very quickly.
Yeah, it is actually possible. There's a few frames to where you can press the heavy attack again right when you hit him, and you'll actually hit him twice with one attack. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that, but that's just a cool little trick.
It's a nice little thing that happens when you see it. So we're coming up on the bunker section of the game, or we are in the bunker section. Pretty much just a lot of good movement here and good menuing. We jokingly call this next part menu boss, just because it's you have to do a boot up sequence. That's how they make you set your settings in this game. Like you're booting up as an Android and you configure all your settings, but there's a lot of annoying menuing because you have to confirm a lot of the details.
Yeah, it's easier. It's really easy to just mash like 1 or 2 times too many and just close the setting that you're trying to change. It can be a little frustrating.
I think we might have gotten a bad crop on Mytherium's timer because it looks like he's on RTA with the amount of time discrepancy between the two of them now.
I'm not sure.
I don't think he would have lost 20 seconds to loads normally.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure what his PC specs are at the moment.
I'll keep an eye on it for the next cutscene. We'll see if Mytherium's timer is RTA. I think he should have 2 of them on his stream. Okay, so we did see a difference in strategy here, going back to the game. Mytherium opting to just run into the cutscene trigger and use a move to try and get himself closer to the door he's going for. BlueMetal, a little bit of manipulation on 9S by doing a half turnaround before he runs out of the bunker room. He'll stop right before the dialogue trigger and talk to 9S and walk into the trigger to cancel each other out.
Yeah, you actually got a very good example of how much time that saves, because they did that pretty much at the same time. So nice little like maybe 2-3 second time save.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Chad is saying that Mytherium's timer didn't pause, so he is his timer is running RTA. I'll see if I can get somebody to fix it if he does have a timer up on for if he has 2 timers, we should be able to fix this pretty easily.
2B, you're going to have some new weaponry installed from here on out. I'll put up instructions for you. Make sure to commit them to memory. Roger.
So here we just have a short little sum-up section before we get down into the city. You see BlueMetal using a pod program on one of the fidget spinners there. The pod program is just basically the laser when you're in the sum-up section. It's sort of your like little special attack. Very, very useful for taking out that enemy as soon as it spawns.
Alright, so BlueMetal carrying over his lead still from that small section. I don't think either runners really gave up that much time. I was just trying to get the time, so I wasn't watching.
Mytherium with another preemptive pause there, I think.
Yeah, it does seem like he's got a little bit of the jitters here.
According to our intel, none of
so
the
just
machines in this
making
area
our way to Resistance Camp,
like this lately.
pick up a few fetch quests before we can sort of
It's pretty weird.
start the main little story here. You see BlueMetal, he's doing a dash and then a punch afterwards, and he's just chaining those together. That's slightly faster than just chaining dashes together alone. Very easy to mess up though. Like if you just mess up one of them, you're losing, you know, all the time that like 5 or 6 of those executed will save. So luckily, after we do these few fetch quests, we get a slightly faster movement option, and we don't have to deal with those dash punches anymore.
This must have been quite a city once upon a time. Too bad
So they picked up a quest from the item trader and the weapon trader. Completing the weapon trader quest will give them the items that they need to upgrade the Virtuous Contract to level 2. That's the short sword that the game starts you with. That's sort of the basis for combat and the basis for our like aerial movement. So getting an upgrade on that, I think it's like 80% more damage. So very, very useful to get that upgraded so early in the game. I think that's pretty much all you'll see in terms of upgrade. It is possible to get the materials to upgrade it to level 3, but it is completely luck based and it is somewhat rare.
Yeah, but definitely a wild thing to get when you do actually have it. Can speed up a lot of sections in the game in terms of just pure damage, or I think you get faster movement out of it as well too.
Yeah, I think it's slightly faster. Yes.
Yeah, because the way it does work is with the attack speed, your dash swing becomes longer. I think that's how it works if I remember off the top of my head correctly. So we need that sort of attack speed on BC2 to do a lot of clips later in the run, if I remember correctly, but BC3 changes up the lineups for all of them because it changes up how far a lot of your moves will go.
Yeah, so it is a bit annoying to have different lineups depending on if you get the upgrade or not. Ideally, what happens is we will get a bunch of crit chips, and then having level 3 is not that big of a deal, just because crits in this game deal 5 times the amount of normal damage, but your base crit chance is 0%, so you have to get the crits, the crit chips, in order to get that huge damage.
Yep, again, it is completely RNG in this run. We don't have anything rooted in to pick up specific chips, because it would... I don't even know enough about the game right now to comment on whether you can find them somewhere, but...
no. I think about the only thing that you could do is get the taunt +3, and that doesn't lose very much time. But I think that's our only real, like, viable option.
Yeah, for sure.
In this run, anyway. In some other runs, you get to see some of the like higher level chips.
Especially in New Game Plus categories, that's where it sort of gets interesting. Again, so this coming out of the city ruins, that section was all about fluid movement, just kind of over the city. This section up here, after we do our buys, there is a lot of back-to-back clip outs and out of bounds movement here. And again, just smooth movement through the desert with the sliding mechanic. We will see BlueMetal now picking up the transporter there. That does come in important for a later point in the run here in about 20 minutes or about 10 minutes.
And then also, speaking of chips, at the resistance camp there, they bought a resilience chip, and basically what that does, if you have over 80% of your health, it basically just gives you super armor, so you can take a hit or two, and 2B won't get stunned or knocked out of her attack animations. So that's very, very useful later on bosses, especially. But we won't see any chips till probably around, I don't know, like 45 minutes in.
So we'll see Mytherium going for the clip now. We just call it barricade clip. You just plunge kind of into that barricade there, and you clip out of the wall. More advanced runners will do what both of these guys are doing right now, where you try and run outside of the bounds of the tunnel, so then that way you can hit the trigger in the tunnel, but go through the wall and skip the cutscene trigger. Unfortunately, Mytherium clipping back in, so he will get the cutscene, losing about 4 seconds worth of time. But BlueMetal pulling it off, no problem.
Oh, and not quite getting the plunge either. You can plunge onto like a lot of walls and some of these slanted surfaces, and you'll just kind of like glide along top of them. You'll see that coming up shortly. Just to save some time, get a little bit closer to the trigger that we need to get to during like a little mini cutscene.
Yep, and you will see both of these runners taking full advantage of the sliding, sort of unique to the desert here. where you can sand slide. If you take optimal routing, you can definitely save a lot of time by getting the proper slide spots and keeping to the beeline. We'll see BlueMetal now coming up on a skip aptly named Stupid Rock, just because of how honestly annoying this little plunge can be. But you gotta wait for this guy to dive into the ground before you can plunge, glide along the rock.
It's heading for that rocky area.
It appears you're gonna say something, MT.
Yeah, just our friend Don Burrows not being very nice
Not at all.
to a BlueMetal. So he lost some time just waiting for that enemy to burrow. It's just kind of unlucky.
Yep, so Mytherium getting a little bit of a chance to catch up here. Still probably about, I want to say, 5 to 7 seconds behind, but still a very, very close race. And I've seen Mytherium spaghetti a couple of really simple input sort of things, like he missed a barricade a little bit further back in City Ruins, but I mean, he's keeping up the pace. He's keeping right behind BlueMetal here.
Definitely anybody's race. There's a lot of the run left.
Yeah, and
A lot of places where it can go wrong.
This being one of them. Although for most experienced runners, these are a series of pretty easy clips. But definitely for the newer runners, it can be a challenge not to soft lock in this area. Not everything is like a true soft lock either, but very nice from BlueMetal. Does get the voidless dialogue trigger into the platform.
Yeah, since we're out of bounds here, there's a trigger that we're required to hit in a tunnel that's kind of above us a little, so we have to go over there and hit that before landing on that platform to start this Adam pit, or this little pit fight here before we have to defeat Adam.
Yep.
So just have to take out just a few of these machines to get this quest enemy to pop up.
And we did see both players equip the short sword to their first weapon slot, or they equipped the sword that they have into the short sword slot, just making it the same as the weapon slot they were using before. So now essentially when they go to do a damage glitch, they can change weapon sets and throw at another one while the other one is still spinning, thus optimizing the damage even further.
It definitely gives a nice boost to DPS for sure. And then here, this is the time section, so the goal here is just to kill as many of these robots as possible, both for experience and hopefully to get some good crit chip drops. These sort of sections in like the bosses, the game will auto loot the items for you, so you don't have to worry about picking any of them up yourself.
Alright, we will see them going into Adam fight. Adam can be quite the annoying boss to deal with, even for experienced players. He has all these phases. We'll see BlueMetal trying to go for a phase skip here. If you can hit Adam's damage threshold quick enough, you can do this thing called sword dodge skip, essentially just the next phase where he goes to this ranged phase here. Both of them neck and neck on this right now. Mytherium, with his loads being slightly slower, is a couple seconds ahead now.
Once Adam jumps up there on that like raptor, you just want to double laser him to skip another little section where he will go on top of a building and kind of be untargetable for a while. But looks like good ending to Adam for both racers here. So still very, very close.
Yeah, again, Mytherium, because they did sync up to the, they were synced on the screen, but he does have a 3-second time advantage, so he did pull out a little bit of a lead here coming out of Adam. Just a little bit smoother phases altogether. And so we'll see, earlier I mentioned them grabbing a transporter, and it would be important a little bit further in the run. That time is now. We're going to be doing a little trick called Save Scum. Transporters have an inherent range on them, radius around them where you can save the game and load the game. And we abuse that to its fullest advantage here. We're going to see the first part of the clip called box clip. You want to shove this box out about 1.5 full shoves, pod launch into the wall here, and because of the position of the box, you can clip into the wall, but you have to dash immediately as you're clipped into the wall to stay out of bounds.
Yeah, it looks like Blue got it here. Mytherium unfortunately went through the wall and back in bounds. He got out there now, and then what they're going to do here is, like Six said, get in the radius of this teleporter and then save and load. The reason that we go out of bounds for that is there is a dialogue trigger if you try and go back to the desert with the sort of inbounds intended route.
Yep, and it is very advantageous. Jesus, English is hard. It is very advantageous to go for the strat when you are using a loadless timer, because it does save that walking distance all the way from Atom Pit back to the transporter. So all in all, just a really good time save skip for people playing on loadless.
I also have an incoming message from the commander.
Yeah, box clip can cause you a lot of problems sometimes. It's a bit more difficult than it looks. With a lot of the out of bounds stuff in this game, the floors, just because there's like a texture there, that doesn't really mean much of anything. You really just have to memorize where floors are and where they aren't. You can't really go based on visuals.
Target location confirmed.
All right, nice little plunge there coming up from BlueMetal. Just always feels super smooth to hit your plunge, and Mytherium actually looking like he's goofing it up quite a bit, trying to get down there. Normally you want to do a standard plunge down, and it'll keep you at an angle, and then you can hold self-destruct so you don't automatically grab the ladder. Unfortunately, Mytherium missing the initial plunge and then going for a straight down plunge, but releasing his SD too early and grabbing the ladder. We'll see BlueMetal coming up here to a skip into the forest or amusement park section. There is a cutscene trigger right in front there, but we do a double lift off that tree root to skip over top of it.
Oh, Mytherium not quite making it over the trigger. He was very, very close, but didn't get quite enough distance.
And again, another nice little clip here from BlueMetal that we're seeing. It's called Let's Play Skip, and this saves the time of running through all the wall, or all the way through the amusement park, over the rides and everything, as well as a cutscene trigger from entering the area that he currently is. You see he went into the corner there, so he did pick up the trigger for the next spot in the game. We will see Mytherium coming back up on this. I did ask Mytherium a question, and it looks like he is going to go for it.
Alright, awesome.
What do you know about this skip? Because I really know nothing. I've been avoiding the skip like the plague since it got announced.
Okay, so he did a pod spin there to hit that trigger in the corner that you saw BlueMetal hit when he was on the ground. So what he's going to try to do is activate this roller coaster and try and dash off the back. Didn't quite get it. That's unfortunate. That's going to cost him a bit of time. Nothing... It's not a terrible time loss. He can definitely still recover, but the goal there is you just barely touch the roller coaster to activate it, but then you can dash and actually get off of it, and then you can pick up a few more required triggers, and then you can either go and kill the tank to get more experience, or you can actually go over. There is I don't remember the name of the spear, but there is a spear that you barely have enough time to go pick up, and that opens up what we call spear dashing, which is, I think, the fastest form of movement that we know of so far. But it's very, very different to the dash swinging or dash punching.
Yeah, for sure. When you do get Virtuous Dignity 3, or just Virtuous Dignity, sorry.
Yeah, that's what it is.
When you unlock spear dashing, from what I know from it, you can't really control your left or right movement. If I remember, you can only go forward.
Yes.
And then, so you're very at the will of the path you set, and if any mobs kind of come in front of that path, then you end up automatically targeting them. Something you can kind of avoid when doing normal dash swing, dashing movements. So typically you have to try and angle your camera properly.
So this is one of the other triggers that I was talking about that Mytherium has to hit, and then now that he's hit that, it will just take him to the Bovar fight. Looks like BlueMetal didn't have the great beginning. You want to damage her down to her threshold when she's pretty close to the stage, so that when she starts that little spinning blade attack, she stays close to the stage. There's just less distance for her to travel. When she changes phases, she has to get back on the stage. So, oh, looks like Mytherium actually didn't get the trigger, so he has to go and pick it up again.
Yep, as you can see, this is a very complicated little skip that, when you do screw it up, can really screw your runs up. Which is why I've been avoiding it so hard, because I've got
same
other
here.
things that I can do to improve my time.
And I'm not sure exactly which trigger he missed.
It is very unfortunate because it is a multi-sequence sort of skip. So if you don't get one part of it, it's kind of you'll have to go back and do it again. Kind of have to figure out where you went wrong here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
Oh, he didn't get the initial trigger. It looks like that's very unfortunate. I don't think he's gonna forfeit. But this is definitely very detrimental to the run, seeing as how close this race was right up until this point. Both of these runners, both very equal in skill. So yeah, a big time loss like this is definitely detrimental to the run.
Yeah, there is still some time for soft lock or crashes. We know how special this port is. So.
Yeah, we have seen it multiple times this tournament, myself included. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for things that are out of BlueMetal's control to screw up his run as well. So,
and there's still a few soft locks that are possible as well.
Yeah.
And also, he could die. You know, he could die on, say, Atom 2 and have to redo all that shore and copied city stuff. So
very, very true. From what I've been seeing, though, Blue is playing very, very. What is the word, man? It is. He's very stable. That's not the word I was looking for. That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's playing very consistently so far from what I've seen. I haven't seen any of the small sort of flubs besides that one right there. Right, commentator's curse, man. But
that section's kind of hard.
It's very annoying getting the dash swings at the right length. But yeah, he's been very, very consistent this run. Like, we're not seeing the same sort of tiny input flubs that we're seeing on Mytherium's side. He just looks like he's playing very, very confident.
Absolutely. Looks like Blue, maybe he accidentally used a second small recovery?
He might have just straight used a medium.
Oh, okay.
That's looking like about the same amount that a medium would do.
I noticed that he bought a small recovery at the desert camp. He might have used that on accident on like the boss fight or something.
That's probably what happened, because I've done that so many times on a Bovar, where you buy the 1 health pot, the small pot for this clip specifically, and then you use it, and then accidentally use a medium when you go to fast use it. We will see BlueMetal with the animal bait and sachet he picked up earlier in the run. He's going to grab an animal here, and just so happens to be a boar, which is our favorite type of animal because you get to see this.
We get to see the best movement tech in the game. Cleverly named boar jumping.
Yeah, the boar, when it is running, does move slightly faster if you spam jump. So, yeah, we get to watch BlueMetal be a cowboy for a little bit here.
Especially on that last little slope there.
Yep.
Very fast.
So he will go over into the corner over here to this door to cancel the dialogue that is still running from the trip over. Talk to an enemy and grab the other piece of the quest. And this is where we were kind of talking about the medium pot stuff, because this becomes important. That amount of health will be too much to get one shot by the animal. Unfortunately, gets two very quick back-to-back attacks, but ideally you use a small health pot to keep yourself within the one-shot range, but giving yourself access to SD still.
Yeah, it's useful to heal. Like we sort of clip through that wall there, right by Pascal's village. There's a box there, and using self-destruct, you can plunge, cancel the animation with self-destruct. It sort of removes that sword hitbox and keeps your velocity, so it makes it pretty easy to just clip through there. But you have to have more than 1 HP.
Yep, and unfortunately, it looks like Mytherium ran into the same issue. I don't know if he bought a small pot, but he definitely doesn't have any right now. He's just full medium, so we'll have to see how he approaches this box clip. It is very easy to do with access to SD, but you can still get it without, or you can just choose to either shove the box out or go around, so we'll see what he opts for. But we really are seeing the impact now of that failed auto-scroller coaster skip. BlueMetal already a full trip to a full death warp ahead from Pascal's village to the resistance camp.
We probably shouldn't get near that guy's feet. Yeah, no. Let's find another route.
And so we will see BlueMetal coming up here on one of my favorite sections of the game in a sense, because it just kind of shows how much we get away with cheese in this game. You go against the boss that you faced in the opening prologue section, Angles, except there's 2 of them this time. And we have a way to cheese each one of them. So,
oh yeah, it's awesome. The method that we used to use for the first one was somewhat difficult, and then we found a faster and I guess you would say easier method. You'll see on BlueMetal's screen here once he finishes this ladder. He's going to get in the corner and do a double jump and a dash, and he will clip right through that invisible wall there, skip this one Angles completely. That's kind of a tricky clip there. But yeah, no problem for him.
Yeah, and this second Angle's coming up here. Since we can't cheese it in the same way, we do have to kill this one. We just use ranged attack buffs. And then Angles has some pretty wonky hitboxes in terms of his body. So if you wedge yourself right in where you see BlueMetal did, you can actually get all 360 degrees of the pod program to hit him very quickly. So 2 pod programs will just straight kill the second Angles and allow you to keep going.
And then from here, after Angles, we are starting a section that we call negotiations. We have to go down to the bottom of the city ruins, and we will just have to do a little sort of timed fight against Adam and Eve. But there is something that we can do to sort of speed it up a bit.
Yep, and we will see Mytherium kind of cutting one dialogue off with another dialogue just because of how fast he traveled down to that section. This is known to trigger a small glitch called Skype glitch. Essentially, anytime you get a page sort of from the command center, it has this little dial tone in before it, and that dial tone takes up a little bit of time. But with Skype glitch, you just get rid of that dial-up completely and the dialogues start right away. This is a glitch that can last over 2 save files, so anytime you get this glitch, you do have to reset your run, because you'll notice it immediately in the prologue where there is a bunch of these sort of Skype dialogues, and then you, for some reason, come out of prologue 15 seconds sooner than you normally would.
Yeah, I've definitely had, you know, like the very beginning shmup section, and it's like, oh wait, how am I 2 seconds ahead already? It's like, oh.
You feel like you're playing like a god, and then you remember, oh.
Yeah, and then you have to restart your game. It's kind of annoying.
So this section here is completely timed. You do want to kill Eve once for the free level up, as we see Blue doing. Interesting thing to note, he's doing a little bit of more advanced combat tech. To add on top of the damage glitch, he is also doing pod slow-mo to slow down Adam's movement and his attacks. When you are doing pod slow-mo, however, you cannot switch weapon sets like you would normally in a double damage glitch. So you kind of have to practice a separate timing of canceling out the pod slow-mo without firing the laser, and then switching your weapon set to continue going.
And it's also a bit more risky too, because you can't use any healing items with your shortcuts when you're in slow-mo. So little dangerous.
Yeah, definitely a double-edged sword. There are some places that it's very useful in the run, but other places where you can just get away with doing a normal double damage glitch and not really have to worry about it. Keep your healing up.
So BlueMetal clipping out of the arena there, just using an evade and then a heavy counterattack just to get some extra height. He's actually able to get out of there and then go back to this tunnel here just to take out all of the robots that are in this area. It gets you some more experience, and it makes the movement back through this section easier, because you can do your dash swinging without accidentally auto-targeting like an enemy or something.
Yep, and because again that entire section the entire section is timed, you just want to kill Eve once and then go and try and get as much done in the tunnels as you can, just to optimize your run out later. We talked about upgrading the sword earlier too. You can get some materials from this tunnel as well, but I don't think either runner will be going for VC3 this time around.
Yeah, I didn't notice him picking up the chest. Did you?
No, I couldn't notice either.
Okay.
But I don't think he will be. I mean, we'll see.
I think I saw the unopened chest when he was going back out. There's a chest with 3 titanium alloys. That's one of the required materials to upgrade. But in this situation, probably best to not waste the time to deal with the upgrades for that, because it's so rare.
Now, one thing I kind of like to point out, I mean, we've been focused on BlueMetal here for a bit, but Mytherium, I think after that that bad skip from earlier, he's kind of, I want to say he's not as nervous anymore, because his movement looks a lot more fluid and practiced. He did a very nice little bit of hard-to-do movement over a couple of the vines on the roof during negotiations. It can be kind of hard to pull off, especially if you're having a pretty spaghetti input day.
Oh, absolutely.
And I did kind of talk over BlueMetal doing another dialogue skip, but it's not a huge time save. It's a couple seconds in the bunker. Again, just by talking to your partner and then walking into the dialogue zone, you can just skip over a section of dialogue.
Yeah, you'll see that a few more times coming up. So I think that's probably used, I don't know what, like maybe 5 times?
Yeah, like there's another one coming up for sure immediately, being commercial complex skip, or partner dialogue skip there. But yeah, we use it, I want to say 5 times in the run.
This is our second buying and selling section here. You saw Blue, he sold his small buffs, and he had 4 machine cores from the bosses. Those are worth 10k each, so that's basically our source of income for this run. And then he sold a bunch of his system chips, or his HUD chips, just to make room for some crit chips if he gets a bunch of those. And he just bought some of the bigger buffs and more medium recoveries. And he also did a skip called Mob Skip. There is a quest trigger there where you have to watch a little cutscene, but if you get enough height like he did and maintain that height, you can get over that cutscene trigger.
Did you touch on resilience there? I was just I wasn't sure if I saw him equip resilience, so I had to go double check on the live stream, but
I think he might equip after these 4 bipeds here.
He did his equips back at the buys.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He put on 2 crit chips and a resilience. So,
okay, cool. Yeah,
I was going to bring up resilience. I guess I'll let you explain that one though.
yeah. It's basically just super armor when you have more than 80% HP. I think I touched on it earlier, but
Check this guy.
yeah, it just prevents you from getting knocked out if your attack out of your attack animations are staggered when you have more than 80% HP. So very, very useful for boss fights. You don't really have to get stuck in sort of being staggered and hit. You can just sort of go in and just tank a hit or two and
Looks
just
like the
spam
forest
heals.
is just ahead.
Yeah, definitely makes the combat on, especially the next boss that's coming up, A2. A2 throws out a bunch of attacks, so having that resilience chip and keeping yourself topped up on pots so you continually damage glitch is very helpful. Another thing I don't think we touched on earlier on damage glitching is it does have invincibility frames too,
Here they come.
so you can also use that to your advantage on top of resilience, on top of all the other things like pod slow-mo. You can also time your damage glitch properly to avoid attacks altogether with your iframes. Again, just adds another layer to the micromanagement that you're doing in these fights.
Oh yeah, it lets you sort of get away with some more risky stuff sometimes. Some small time saves just from timing your attacks well.
And we will see BlueMetal coming up now on, I want to say, because I kind of have a little bias here because I've been learning this now and I've been putting it off for so long, but there's 2 skips you can do when you get to this section. The classic, probably one of the oldest skips in the run, Mario Kart, but you're going to see the iteration here, a bunch of inputs called Rainbow Road, and it saves 5 seconds over Mario Kart. It is pretty precise as there is a drown zone that kind of follows you up as you're doing that, and it is a super far distance to cover. So if you drop any inputs, you're kind of just dead. You will fall into the drown zone and reset, and you've kind of lost the time you would save.
Yeah, nice job by Blue there. You're sort of just looping your pod spins. You're doing a pod spin and then a heavy attack and then a jump and then another pod spin. Basically those repeated, and then you saw BlueMetal sort of wedge himself underneath that root there and then doing a punch that just allowed him to clip out of bounds. So we're going to skip going inside the castle entirely. Luckily, these windows, you can actually stand on them, so we can just go outside of the castle, clip up back in those stairs, come back in bounds, get a required trigger next to that teleporter there, and now we can go fight A2.
Yeah, A2 again can be a kind of frustrating boss to deal with depending on the RNG she gives you. She can choose to just sort of leave the screen for a couple seconds and then dash back in, losing you the time that you would optimally have. You can kind of stun her too to stop her from doing this sort of stuff, but
yeah, ultimately she kind of just does what she wants, and sometimes she'll just decide to run away a lot and do the attack where she just dashes across the entire screen. Wow, looks like some
those
crazy
crit chips coming.
Crazy crits.
Huge. Yeah, one dash away from A2, but after that it was completely unlocked. I think that was 2 or 3 crits, and you just see the damage chunk as soon as that glass shatters.
Awesome fight from Blue. That looked very fast to me. Did you see if Mytherium equipped any chips yet?
I was keeping an eye. He didn't equip any chips yet, but
Okay.
he's also running in another language, so I can't really tell what the chips are. I think he's running in German.
Oh yeah, he's likes to meme it up. Oh, and Blue there, after the A2 fight, instead of jumping off the castle and chasing A2 like you're supposed to, you can go over to the right, get enough height to get over this like dialogue trigger that opens up, forces you to walk back to the left, and then we can just take that transporter straight back to Pascal's village instead of having to wait for some very, very long dialogue.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Myth has for chips. I've been trying to keep an eye on it, but I think I might have missed if he already did it or not.
Yeah, I think I missed it. That's unfortunate. That's fine. We'll find out later.
Yep, for sure. We'll see if he just starts dropping huge crits. We know just visually he doesn't have aftershock or whatever it's called, the waves.
Oh, shockwave, yeah.
Shockwave, Jesus. I'm super tired today. I can't even get my naming right.
Oh, me too, me too.
We will see BlueMetal now coming up on the Flooded City skip. You kind of just clip out the back of Resistance Camp, and you can do 2 sets of plunges here. Glide a little bit underneath that building and jump into the cutscene trigger. And then you hit the drown zone and go back to where you were originally standing, and then you can plunge to the rest of Flooded City. It saves you quite a bit of time instead of running all the way through the sewers to get there. I want to say it saves probably about 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll see how his shore fight goes. This can be an annoying fight depending on what this enemy that's there right now does for you. Blue looking like he does have a very good clear time on it. He knows how to deal with it. And wow, a lot of the stubbies lining up for his damage glitches as well too, so very good clear time.
I think that's the last of the machines.
Yeah, nice shore fight, that's for sure.
Alright, well now we can pretty much ignore BlueMetal for the next 15 minutes because he has gotten into the Resident Sleeper section of the game, the 15-minute auto-scroller we call Groon.
And as always, we have to mention that there is a over $2,000 bounty if you can figure out how to skip this section. You can win $2,000, a pizza,
Curry
pizza from, I believe, Win Super.
Tech Deist.
Oh, Tech Deist. And I think there's a caffeinated alcoholic beverage in there as well if you're of age. So I'm pretty sure it's over $2,000, so if you're interested in finding tricks or skips or anything like that, you're welcome to try that out and find a way to skip this long smup section.
Definitely a nice price tag on it now. I think it was 2,200 last time I did commentary, from what people were saying. So let's see how Mytherium deals with this A2 fight. Getting the dash, unfortunately, at the start. It's looking like he doesn't have any crit chips equipped here, unfortunately.
I'm not really noticing any.
He does keep it pretty well under control, though. He was doing a little bit of pod slow-mo on top of keeping himself topped, so, you know, you can see the experience. He's got that consistency with the A2 fight, even if he doesn't have those massive crits to speed things up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's practiced A2 a lot, especially in very hard. You really have to be aware of all of her attack patterns and all her movement options and stuff like that. It's a very scary boss on a very hard.
Yeah, for sure. Oh god, I'm just thinking about it, but how poggers would it have been if Mytherium, getting the bad clip earlier in the game, just decided to go for first try taunt +6 right now. Oh my god.
That would be pretty crazy.
Be phenomenal.
I'm picking up a large-scale enemy.
I don't think I would be able to contain the hype, because he would definitely start catching up with the speed he'd be killing bosses at.
If I could wish for one thing this week, it would definitely be that. First try taunt +6.
So
yeah,
we will see. Yeah, you go ahead.
We didn't really mention taunting, but if you spam your flashlight at enemies, they will go into sort of like an enraged state, and normally they will deal 50% more damage and they will take 50% more damage. But with these taunt chips, that goes up by a lot. I think taunt +3 is like 240% damage. So taunt +6 is even more. So you can just imagine how much damage you do with that large of a multiplier.
It's 500 or 400% on taunt +6.
400. That's ridiculous.
400%. Yeah.
And then the thing about that is the enemies will deal so much damage to you that's basically like a very hard run, which Mytherium's already used to, so... Wish it was a bit more consistent to actually get that chip.
Yep, as we saw in the race, he did go for it. He kind of went for it because there was a big discrepancy sort of in the times of the two players, with Mytherium being a top 10 runner, and I think Black Gold Saw kind of just started running the game for the tournament, so you knew he'd have that time advantage, and he ended up losing. I think with the amount of time he lost, Black ended up finishing like 3 minutes behind Mytherium with the amount of resets he had to do to get this specific chip. But it was definitely phenomenal to watch. I couldn't contain my hype commentating it. If you want to,
insane.
Yeah, if you want to see Taunt +6 in action, just go look up the VOD on Speed Gaming for Mytherium versus Black Gold Saw and start watching the run about an hour and 10 minutes in, and you'll see. It's wild how much damage he does.
Yeah, we're pretty under-leveled throughout this run, but man, that Taunt +6 bosses, yeah, they die insanely fast. It's amazing.
From command.
Go ahead.
The only known record of this machine life form is a lone sighting 300
Alright.
years ago.
Now that they're both on Grun, there's not a lot in terms of time saves. There are 3 generators that they're going to have to destroy, and it's possible to lose some time there, just dependent on your execution. But they're not. Blue's not quite to that point yet.
Yep, definitely. It's like Prologue, but longer and with less time save because everything's on a pretty set timer as you pan sort of around Grun to the generators. I don't think actually clearing the waves speeds anything up here, does it?
Not that I know of, no.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense fully.
But one thing to mention is that you're still getting experience from these flyers, and 9S does steal your experience if he gets the killing blow on a flyer. It steals your experience, and also it's possible for him to get the killing blow on this first generator, which takes away a significant chunk of experience from you, so that's always a possibility. Looks like Blue losing a bit of time due to the rotation of the generator. Yeah, he got rotations so that those 2 nodes are both untargetable, so that's a bit of a time loss there.
Unfortunately, when you don't have flawless Grun execution on these cores, you do open yourself up to bad Grun RNG, where it might just rotate the core over and over again to an untargetable spot. I've seen it happen 5 times in a row.
Oh,
So you never know what you're gonna get. So better to just perform it properly the first time.
Yeah, each of those little nodes, if you're using Podfire and spamming light attacks, it'll take about 5 light attacks, and then you can kind of move over to the next one while still shooting the first one until it blows up. But the timing is very, very tight. Well, luckily with the last 2, there's a bit of a safety strat that you can do where you use a pod program on the second node, and then that'll just guarantee that you don't kind of get trolled with the rotations being bad.
Alright, so where Blue is right now is about, I want to say 2/3 through Grun. It's a little bit over half, but not hugely up there. And it looks like the timer crop on Blue is a little bit off, but we can still defer what's happening.
I don't know if we touched on Goliath Flyer, but on Mytherium's screen, we just have a little mini boss here. He's just going to buff up, use both of his pod programs, and just spam some heavy attacks until his pod programs get off cooldown, then use both of those again, and that is enough to take out this boss. Pretty straightforward and consistent boss. It's kind of hard to lose time there. For these guys, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I guess what we're not really talking about much gameplay-wise, I kind of want to talk about the tournament bracket a little bit. Like, get your opinion on some of these matchups.
We might as well. Why not do some fun trivia while we're waiting at Groon anyways?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Um,
I found it kind of interesting in terms of this match too, because Canaris was saying he doesn't have to really worry about getting knocked out early in the tournament unless it's by BlueMetal. So that could be very interesting if BlueMetal does come out on top here to watch the next match. However, Canaris is looking in pretty good form considering he set the world record a couple days ago.
yes, our very, very first tournament match of round 1 here, Canaris actually improved world record by 20 seconds. So I would not count on him to have any serious chokes or anything. So I think if Blue's going to have to play amazing to have any sort of a chance, but he's been improving so fast lately that he could definitely pull off the upset if something bad happens on Canaris' end.
Yep, and I would like to note again, this is a double elimination bracket, so neither of these players are currently facing elimination from the tournament. If they lose this match, they will just go down to losers bracket, where they still have a chance to win. Kind of looking at some of these matches here, have you seen the matches coming up, I guess? Do you have any matches you're excited for?
Well, my match...
Yeah, your match versus Windsuper will be really interesting, I think.
Windsuper's PB is actually better than mine, even though I came in as the higher seed. So that should be interesting. I could definitely get knocked into losers after that. Looking at these other ones here, I'm interested to see Icefire versus Unity.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Unity's had his time cut down pretty hard from what I can see, in comparison to his intro, or his original seeding splits. And
sure.
Icefire still running pretty good after all this time on hiatus, still popping sub 130s in races, but it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, I think when me and Unity raced, he got a low 132, which was probably a PB for him, I think.
Yeah.
So he's PBing in the group matches, so he could probably get a 130 without too much more practice, and that seems to be what Ice is getting in races, is like high 130s from what I've seen. So that should be a good match as well.
I'm trying to I kind of wish we had this open on a smash.gg sort of thing where you could see a predicted bracket, so I could see what some of the predicted losers bracket matches might be, but I'm just trying to pair up names in my head and say would that be an interesting match? Maybe. I haven't seen this match. Looks like it probably will happen between I don't even know how to say his name. Wish Sang?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough for me.
Just call him WS, I think is good.
WS, yeah. WS and Datto. I haven't really watched either of them run, but Datto has been, I think he PB'd recently.
Yeah.
Pretty soon here.
He got a really good PB
back
in
past,
the tournament.
he took it back past BlueMetal, didn't he?
Yes. I believe he got a high 126, was it? Or it might have been a really low 127. But yeah, so Datto and him should be a very, very good. That'll be in winners round 2. That's probably very, very big one to watch.
Thank goodness.
Never mind that. I need a status.
Well, runs over. Blue had some trouble with, I think, pretty much all 3 of the generators. So if Mytherium plays well, he could probably make up a good 30 seconds just there. So, but Blue just doing some void outs, just to save some time, making his way to copied city to look for 9S.
So we will see BlueMetal coming up here on one of the probably most precise clips in the game in terms of lineup precision. This is the copied city clip, and kind of depending on the lineup you take, especially on the... oh
right.
no. Oh, he does something different. That's right.
He's going for the old spot where that we clip out at. This is a bit more lenient than the other one, and you can do... You have a bunch of options to clip out there. So this is a little slower, but it's more consistent. I actually am really thinking about just doing this instead of the harder copied city clip because it's so precise, and sometimes you'll have the same angle, but it'll take like 3 or 4 tries to actually clip through. It's very, very weird. We don't really understand the like out of bounds clips with the precise angling, really.
Now, I will say, I've been having a lot of success with copied city clip in my last runs. I think I've first shot it the last 4 runs I've done.
Really?
But I use mouse and keyboard setup.
Oh, okay.
And it's very consistent with mouse and keyboard from what I can tell. Just because with it being such a precise clip for the people watching, if you go to input the clip and you line up your angle, you still have to worry about your control stick angle, the direction 2B's running in. Whereas if you use mouse and keyboard, you have sort of like a true north, true straight lineup. There's no variation in 2B's movement, it's just your camera angle lineup. So it does make the clip a lot more consistent to get.
Blue actually getting that clip out of bounds first try is what we call mansplaining skip. Adam talks a lot. He talks for about like 90 seconds or so before actually starting this fight. So by clipping out of bounds, going back to the elevator, waiting for a specific point of dialogue, going in the elevator, dashing back out, we cancel all his dialogue with that pod dialogue that we get from getting in the elevator, and then we can go straight into the Adam fight. So that saves, I don't know, probably at least a minute, right?
I think it's 40 seconds for a like proper full. Yeah, because you if you get out in time to like if you get out before because you still have to wait until the only then dialogue, and then you're canceling about 40 seconds worth of Adam dialogue. So if you get a perfect mansplaining, you're saving about 40 seconds. You're only skipping one portion.
Yeah, and since you have to wait, you actually have like a good amount of time to make sure that your camera angle is correct. So
yeah, it's
definitely there's no real rush to clip out. You have to have some time to work with which makes it a lot. It makes it easier than copied city, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a clip you don't want to screw up though, because the soft lock is pretty special in its own way. We have seen the soft lock happen once in this tournament in pool stages by Froob McGruffin.
Oh no!
Can't remember who it was against, but Froob, I don't think knew that you don't want to dash fully into the elevator, and so he was just kind of standing against the elevator, maybe a little too hyped up, and he kind of just spammed dashes into the elevator door, plopped himself in, and the doors closed behind him, and everybody shrieked. It was because then you know what's gonna happen. You start going up the elevator, copied city unloads, and then you get transported back to Adam to fight him. But of course there's no floor or any buildings now, so you're just permanently soft locked. You can't even the only way you would be able to get out of that would be to fully restart your game and redo. Where's the last save even there? I don't even know.
There's a few frames where you can pause, I think, and load, but it's bad. It's real bad.
Either way, we kind of missed BlueMetal doing one little trick in the Resistance camp called Commander Dialogue Skip. There is a bit of dialogue after you come out of the Adam fights, and so you initially want to read an email to get the next sort of quest trigger at the factory over here you're running to, but you can't do that until the dialogue's over.
Yeah, and the problem is the dialogue's very, very long, so we want to start it as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's hugely long. If you screw up Commander Dialogue Skip, like, you miss out on buying skill salves at the Resistance camp, and then you have to, on the way running over there,
pick up the email, and then you'll have to wait out the remainder of the duration once you get there.
Yeah, it's not good. I guess we'll see Mytherium's copied city here. Let's see how he does. I think he uses... Yeah, okay. I'm familiar with this lineup.
Yeah, there we go. So 3rd or 4th try. But you can really see, like, with Mytherium, he's pretty consistent. And yeah, he takes quite a few tries to set it up. That skip only gets harder too with VC3 being upgraded on your sword.
Oh,
it just makes
so
the skip
hard.
so stupidly hard. Notoriously, a runner named Marble Soda has killed a lot of his runs trying to go for VC3 copied city clip.
Dude, it's such a bad feeling. I had that the other day where I got lucky and got the materials for VC3, and it took me like 7 minutes to get that copied city clip. It's really, really frustrating when that happens.
So we will see Mytherium coming up now on Adam. We can kind of explain this clip more. So you want to line up so that the box at the top there that you see him going over kind of knocks you out of bounds when you go for your plunge. Unfortunately, it looks like his controller's eating his heavy input at the top, so he's just doing a dash.
Yeah, not sure if he's getting some like frame drops or if he's just trying to do an instant plunge where he's hitting like dash and heavy on the same frame, but just being like a little off. It's hard to know.
All right, and then
he does get it.
And we'll just see him. He'll line up in front of this elevator. He'll just punch in and evade out, and then that's the clip. We'll see BlueMetal now coming up on the Mook's room clip. Normally in this room you would have to kill all of the Mooks in the room, or not all of them, but a good portion of them for that elevator to unlock. By doing that clip, it sort of respawns them back to their original positions in the room, and the elevator opens up instantaneously. So it saves about, I think it was 8 to 10 seconds over a perfect Mook's room clear, but you're also missing out on the XP. Yeah, you never get it. It's such a bad clear. It's more likely you're going to lose like 16 to 20 seconds, I would say. That might be a little bit on the extreme end, but BlueMetal.
Just a bit. Yeah, first try 9S room clip.
Which was very good because we saw him practicing that as well right before the race, and he was just struggling to get it once. So good hit on that.
Yeah, there are multiple ways to clip out in that room. What you saw him do there was the fastest way. But now coming up to Deep Factory here, he's going to plunge against this pipe and this invisible wall. There he goes, clips out of bounds, and then he's going to plunge down here. He's going to spam some self-destruct, and he's going to double jump before he touches the ground. There is a trigger right by that door that he has to hit, and then he's going to void out, respawn back up at the top, and then get a double plunge down here, and he is now right outside of the boss, the room that has the boss elevator in it, so he just skipped pretty much all of Factory by doing those 2 clips out of bounds.
Yep, definitely a very precise and quick skip when you get it. That is sort of one of the last points you can really soft lock your run. You can technically do it up here too in the Soshi fight, but I mean it's almost like you have to be trying to do it to soft lock here.
Absolutely.
So unfortunately that failed auto-scroller coaster skip is proving to be pretty detrimental to Mytherium's run, as BlueMetal not having any consistency slip-ups. As I said earlier in the run, he's been running very consistently. Yeah, no soft locks today. And
he's playing very well.
Sort of hopes are a little bit out the window. I mean, Mytherium's not too far behind in terms of like the game now, but he's probably a good minute 15 behind BlueMetal here at this point.
I think even if Blue dies on Eve or something, that's still not too much of a time loss. I think he's going to have to die multiple times at this point. For,
it would
for
definitely
Mytherium
have to
catch up.
depend. Yeah, it would have to be probably a phase 4 death, honestly, right as you're about to kill him. Since it does just reset back to phase 3 Eve, that would, and I've done this before. It hurt last time because you go right back to Eve phase 3 starting fresh. So, but it does lose you about, I want to say 90 seconds. No, that might be a little too much, but it loses you a lot of time, significant chunk.
Yeah, for sure. Blue making quick work of Soshi here. I think he only did 1 attack cycle, if that. So that was a very quick fight.
Yep.
And now he's just going to make his way back out of factory, and he's going to take the same route that we saw in prologue. So those 2 out of bounds clips by the lava pits, you'll see those again at the end of the run.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Techie is bringing up that maybe this might be on PB pace. I haven't been watching his timer. He does color code it, so...
Yeah, we'll see when he is leaving factory, I believe.
I'll see if I can pull up a copy of his splits as well to see if I can get a timer.
The one difference here is you have to double jump before doing that pod launch, or you will auto-target one of the suicidal robots, and then you get a ton of time loss because you get stuck in the lava. You have to void out and respawn. So if Blue uses the detailed splits, he is on PB pace, but I'm not positive if he uses those or the basic splits.
He does do detailed.
Okay, so yeah, he is ahead of his PB then.
I'm getting a timer from his VOD, but Burning Resistance Camp, the timer would be an hour 20:20.
At the
cutscene? At the cutscene. As soon as the cutscene triggers, that's the timer I've got.
I see.
Alright, we will see Mytherium now going for the Mooks clip. Full SDing.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Oh my goodness. What is... Oh no! Did he soft block?
I think he just has to wait until that SD animation's done. And
yeah. I don't know. He might just be frustrated. That's maybe why he did it.
Yeah, I think it's just a mess around type of deal.
Yeah.
So it looks like Blue's looking like he's about 20 seconds ahead of his PB here.
That would be a sub 126 if he can pull it off, because his PB is 127.16.
What a monster.
Holy.
Yep.
15 seconds ahead. Or, no, 19 seconds ahead. Holy.
Yeah, so Blue having a great run here. We'll see if he can keep it up. I'm not sure if he has any significant time saves in this in-game portion. This section here, these big robots can have some unlucky death animations where they sort of fall in your way. They take a long time to actually explode, so hopefully, looks like he got pretty decent luck. I think he had 1 bad death, but the rest were pretty good.
Alright, Mytherium, I wasn't watching him too much, but it looks like he's been having no problem with doing the factory clips. Coming in pretty... Oh god, that was so close to being low. If you land behind that framework, I'm pretty sure it is a soft block.
Blue coming up to Bokushi here. He's going to take some damage when he comes in the water, but he's going to buff up and heal. And now he just has to throw out damage glitches. When he takes damage from the water, he has to heal immediately. Almost really close to dying there. But looks like he got some good crits, so that should be it for Bokushi. He can kind of troll you here and do this sort of rolling attack. It's just complete nonsense.
This is so unfortunate too.
Yeah,
he still hasn't even started the vacuum.
Yeah, what is he doing? Bokushi, please.
So, as Tech Thieves was saying, BlueMetal does actually have time save towards the end. That cutscene skip on, or the cutscene skip after Core 2, as well as getting platforms on Eve.
Maybe self-destruct as well. But anyway, moving up on that hill there, you can pull the core over just so that you can hit it with damage glitches. If you let it stay where it is, it'll kind of sort of float above you, and it's very, very hard to hit. So pulling it on the hill there makes it just easier, makes it a lot easier to hit it.
What do we do? There's too many.
Now I am curious. We were talking about how Dado did pass BlueMetal back after Blue came up and passed him for the 4th spot. I'm curious what Dado's PB is, because it hasn't been verified if he has submitted it so far. So I'm going to see if I can find that information.
Yeah, is Full still here? Full should know. Please enlighten us, Mr. Speedrun.com mod. But yeah, there's a chance that we could see a counter bop here.
Yep, for sure. It was unfortunate with that Bokushi timing with the instant vacuum. He just, for some reason, just sat there without vacuuming for like a good 3 seconds. Dado 127.12, so
okay,
by 4 seconds, this is definitely doable for BlueMetal then to reclaim 4th spot.
Yeah, looks like losing a bit of time on Core 2 there. Nothing crazy, but he didn't get another one of those dialogue skips right after the core blows up. You can talk to 9S and it'll skip a portion of dialogue so that as soon as you get down to where Eve is, the cutscene will start right away. But as you'll see Blue do, he will he'll have to wait a little longer before that cutscene plays. So.
All right. And now we just kind of have to pray for good RNG here.
Oh, preemptive pause.
Unfortunately, yeah. So I'm curious to see, because Blue is, I think, at the caliber of run where he probably will go for the double damage glitch pod slow-mo to skip phase 2 hacking. Especially with the crit chips he has right now, you just see those chunking away on his HP.
Yep, there's one bad attack that phase 1 can do when he's around half health. He can bring up a bunch of these cement platforms and he'll jump up on top of those, and it loses a bunch of time, but he has no problems. He's not going to try and do the phase 2 skip. He's just going to wait for Eve to sort of recharge and then just try and put as much damage on him as possible. Looks like he has some decent crit chips, so there's not that much of a time difference.
Yep, and it will... Yeah, I was going to say, I was about to bring it up. It will be a game about playing the fine edge between trying to cut as much time on this last phase and trying not to just get 2-shot here. You really want to stay on top of your pots here at the end, because especially if you're running no defense buffs, Eve will 2-shot you. 3-shot if you do run the defensive buffs and you have them taunted.
Blue definitely on 126 pace here, by the way. Pretty sure that he could probably even get as low as a 2640 or so, I think.
Now, I wonder if he has practiced SD phase 3. It looks like he's trying for it, but he gets just the worst attack for it. Very risky of dying right there.
Looks like he's going to go for it here.
He does get it, so that's
nice.
That's very good. I was kind of worried it might have been too far away, but SD does have a pretty good range.
Yeah, so that's just fairly recent time save that was found. It's risky because if you miss, you lose a ton of time. You have that really slow walk stumbling animation, but the cutscene will cancel that for you. And here, as long as Eve behaves and stays somewhat close to you, this is pretty much free from here. And looks like...
Yep, definitely a sub 127, so he does get the counter bop back onto Dado.
The counter bop. So yeah, looks like I was close. Probably somewhere around a 40, right?
Yeah, it's going to be about a 40, 42 would be my guess. But yeah, Jesus, Blue, like this is nearing.
Blue
I
monster.
think
Blue monster.
What the absolute monster, man. Cuts 9 minutes off of his run in the span of 1 month during the tournament.
126.
Yeah,
47.
PB for Blue.
Big PB in a tournament race. Congrats. Congrats.
Yeah, holy.
And we'll get Blue here in a moment to talk about.
Oh.
Hey, welcome Blue.
Hey.
Yo, congrats on the PB, dude. That's a sick PB.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Dude, I was still a tiny bit upset because like my early game was bad and there was some other bad points throughout the run. I still lost a good 30 to 40 seconds.
That's crazy. What was your biggest time loss segment in that race?
Shoot, it's hard to say because like my biggest time loss segments, most of them lost around the same amount. That's funny. Like my Atom split lost a lot. My Beauvoir split lost roughly the same. Grun could have been better. I flubbed all the cores.
Yeah, I was noticing that, but I was like, oh well, Mytherium might have a chance here, but I think he might have flubbed some too. So.
Oh man.
But besides that was amazing.
Yeah, dude. Like the factory could have gone a little bit better, but. For what's his name, Bokushi, the first one right before Core 1, that one, when he started rolling around, I shouted to myself, "You freaking clown! What are you doing?"
I hate that boss so much. Like, I don't think anybody understands why he just chooses to do a different attack besides doing the like vacuum death thing. It's really weird.
Oh my god, what happened to Mytherium there? That vacuum took so long to detonate. That was like a good 2 or 3 seconds extra.
This game.
Yeah, we'll see how Mytherium handles Core 2. I was like convinced. I saw him, I'm like, okay, it looks like he's not going to have any problems with the instant vacuum, but then his vacuum took like 3 seconds to explode.
Oh, Blue, what chips did you get? I heard that you had 2 crits, but were they +1s, +2s?
Oh, they were +2s.
Oh, wow,
yeah,
nice.
that's okay, that's what I was doing. I didn't get the numbers on them, I just saw they were crits.
Those, I think it was the A2 crits were pretty nuts, I think.
Yeah, but then she still got an attack off anyway and still made me slightly upset, but it was still a good fight. Man. I think I still had like 6 points of space left, but I didn't even bother to just read to see if I could fit anything else. I was just like, no, let's just go with this. Don't want to waste more time.
Oh yeah, that's what, 8%? That's a lot.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, so you're going to face Canaris next round.
Oh boy, let's face them again.
This is gonna be the big run back. Definitely gonna be an interesting race because I think you're the only person he's actually scared of getting knocked out early too.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I don't think he has much to worry about unless he flubs up like hardcore. I'd have to play out of my mind and he'd have to flub a lot just for me to even keep up still.
Yeah, for sure. Like I can't say it's because he's in bad form or anything like that. Just because you know, he just set world record a couple days ago.
Yeah, he's nutty.
Mytherium kind of showing off, fighting these robots with 1 HP.
Why? Why are you doing this?
He got a really bad auto-scroller coaster. Like, pretty early. You guys were pretty much neck and neck by like probably 1 second to 2 seconds for the entire first 35 minutes of the run.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then he went for auto-scroller coaster and missed the first trigger for the tank.
Yeah.
And so he waited there probably twice or 3 times after trying to hit one of the other triggers, and then realized he had missed the first one.
Oh my goodness. So, I refuse to go for that until it's like world record pace, even then that is... I'm afraid of that trick, not gonna lie.
See, I feel kind of bad too, because I feel like I jinxed him a little bit, because when we went to play bingo before this race, I asked him if he was going to do auto-scroller, because we were going through, and he got to scroller coaster in bingo, and he didn't want to do it. I was like, "Are you we're in the race?" And he's like, "Maybe." So now I feel really bad. Like maybe I forced him to do it.
May not have been worth.
Oh wow, that was kind of weird there. Adam or Eve was sort of untargetable.
Oh,
that was like really strange.
Oh, okay, you did get the platform skip, just barely. Eve about to call the platforms up, but he just goes over the damage threshold in time. And it looks like he is going to try and go for the hacking phase skip.
Yeah, if you can keep Eve's health bar from completely filling up before this dialogue ends, or when this dialogue ends, if his health bar isn't completely filled up, then 9S should just hack him right away. So just some slow-mo, throwing out damage glitches. Didn't quite get it, he was very, very close.
And I think you do lose a little bit of time for going for it and not getting it just because it takes longer to fill the health bar, if I recall correctly.
I don't think he got any crit chips.
No, he did not.
So I know, at least for me, I don't even try for that if I don't have any crit chips. Pretty sure it's still possible, but you have to be very quick.
So let's see, I'm kind of curious about the bracket standings now with this game. So we do have BlueMetal going in to Canaris in winners round 2. However, this sends Mytherium to the losers bracket. So Mytherium will be against Dan Flesh. We'll see if Mytherium has implemented the SD strat. Again, it's pretty new. A little bit of practice and you can get it. It's not too complicated, but it is fairly new. I want to say within the last week or 2 weeks that it's arisen.
Yeah, you sort of just kind of have to wait for him to attack, and then you start slow-mo and get underneath him. But if he does that attack where he shoots off a sort of long string of those projectiles, it's very easy to get hit a lot. Oh.
And it happens. It happens. Yeah. Both Blue and Mytherium, unfortunately.
Alert. NFCS destroyed. Close range combat no longer operable.
I guess he didn't manage to pick his body up after the Bokushi fight. When you die in this game, you drop your plug-in chips and you have to go back and pick them up. But on the Bokushi fight, there's some weird thing going on where, because it's like a boss thing, and he has to stand on in like that certain area, it sort of does weird things with the like body retrieval stuff, and sometimes your body just doesn't even show up, so you can't get your chips back.
He did pick up one of his bodies though, because when I saw him fighting Bokushi, he had like the picked up repaired android. Mytherium refusing to go towards 9S.
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing.
Hello, Mytherium.
Hey-o. Just kidding. Hey. So we all know the auto scroller coaster skip didn't go as planned.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm sorry, I pressured you.
I was pretty triggered after that, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that completely blew all the wind out of my sails in terms of, like, I went around the roller coaster once, did the recovery to get back onto the tracks, but I probably did it too quickly, so the triggers didn't load in time. So then I was confused, and I figured getting the Let's Play trigger would fix it, which it did. But I don't know, how close were we between like the early game? Was Blue like miles
you guys were literally 1 to 2 seconds apart for the entire 35 minutes up until that scroller coaster skip.
Damn.
Yeah,
It was kind of like a back and
unfortunate.
forth. It was a back and forth because I noticed you were kind of having a couple like minor input flubs, things like the city barricades. So you go behind by a little time, but it seemed like you had a little bit more efficient movement, I want to say, because you always ended up catching that time within the next minute or so.
Damn.
Yeah, my early game is not exactly known for being good. That's where I struggle.
Yeah, I struggle in early game too. I don't know, I felt like I was playing out of my mind in the early game, but well, we all know how that turned out. Damn, dude. Honestly, I mean, I kind of expected this, because A ending is really not my strong suit.
Oh.
And at least the win went to somebody who's actually decent in A ending.
Decent, you say? Well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you did catch it or you have the streams open. Blue Blue did get a PB this run as well too.
Nice.
So he actually counter bopped Datto back down to 5th place.
Yeah, in my mind, while I was finishing up this run, I'm like, "You're not gonna stay ahead of me, my friend." Oh.
So, any thoughts on your next match, Mytherium? You're going to be against Dan Flesh?
Dan Flesh, yeah.
As long as I don't lose like a full 2 minutes because of auto scroller coaster, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think Dan's kicking around somewhere near my time now. I want to say he's around the 134 range.
Don't worry, Dan. You could still probably beat me.
133.49.
Oh no!
If today has anything to say, I could barely even sub 134. Like, this run was worse than the run that I did as like a warm-up stream, and that's saying something. Even despite how good I felt at the beginning, like I just lost all that time afterwards because I was just triggered.
It was the bingo, man. It was the bingo.
Oh, man. Anyway, GG Blue.
Yeah, GG, man.
PB'd.
Yeah, pretty happy about it. Finally got that 126. I was grinding for it last night, and I was getting so tilted because I got punches 6 times in a row, and I'm just like, alright, I'll just wait for the race. We'll just do that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm honestly so curious to see where your PB is going to go in the next month, considering how high it's jumped in this last month.
We'll see. I've been putting in a lot of practice and been studying a lot of what Canaris does. We'll see how far it goes.
I think you're definitely in the category of player to be in position to finally bop Canaris from his long reign. At least
that's gonna take a lot of work.
I know that's like putting pretty big shoes on you right now, but I believe in you.
I'll do my best.
Any other thoughts on the race or anything coming up? I know we have a match tomorrow night at 11:30 Eastern. We have Fullists versus Panpipes, and Mytherium will be commentating that one.
Yes, I will.
Nice. You get to see more of those Fullest prologues, TM.
15 minutes plus.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think if that's everything, we can probably wrap it up here.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
not much else to say. It's been fun.
Yeah, congrats, Blue. Big thanks to everybody watching. Shout outs to Speed Gaming for hosting our tournament. Yeah, thank you guys.
I believe the links for !NA and !.
I'll do them all.
Yeah, they should be fixed or pointing to the right brackets. Check them out. for upcoming matches.
All right, yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
Later.